Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on health protection. My name's Imogen, and I'm also joined by Michelle today. Just before we get started, I think it's important to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land across which we are meeting today and from where you're joining us. Here at the University of Tasmania, that's often the Palawa Pakana people. Respecting Indigenous knowledge and perspectives is something that's really important to the university, and it's something that we're committed to, and something you'll also see during your time studying with us. So in today's webinar, we're going to cover quite a few things. We're going to look at why you would study health protection, what the course options are for you, what study will look like, what some further study options might be. We're going to go through partner scholarships, how to apply for the course, and then we're going to finish with a Q&A. If you have some questions now that you would like answered, feel free to use the Q&A chat box to pop those in and we can answer those at the end. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Michelle to introduce herself.
Thanks, Imogen, and hi, everyone. So I'm Michelle McPherson. I'm the core teacher of the health protection units at University of Tasmania. I am an epidemiologist by practice, and up until working at UTAS for the last couple of years, I have been working as an epidemiologist in state, national, and at the international level. So I still continue to do work with the World Health Organization, as well as my role here at UTAS. And I've worked in several health departments in health protection prior to my position here at UTAS. So I'm going to walk you through today our different options for studying health protection at UTAS. Oops, wrong button. Oh, sorry, I went too far. So I guess I'm going to start off by sort of talking about why you would want to study health protection. Firstly, obviously, it's useful to define what that means because not everybody is aware of the terminology. So health protection is a subset of public health, and it looks at the prevention and control of threats or issues to do with communicable diseases and the environment. So we do look at communicable disease and environmental health. The reason that we developed this suite of health protection courses and units at UTAS stems from the COVID pandemic. One of the massive learnings out of COVID, which we saw both in Tasmania, sort of within Australia and globally, was that there's just not enough public health workers trained in the types of health protection skills you need to at the time to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Although we were able to surge amazing people with great public health skills, most of them didn't quite have the context or understand the uniqueness of dealing with communicable diseases. So we thought to sort of respond to that we would launch this training package aimed at those either working in health protection, those that got interested in health protection as a result of the COVID pandemic, or those that are already studying and wanted to perhaps add some health protection subjects to their master's degree. The way that we developed it, we started it in February 2021, and we wanted it to be sort of a workforce ready, practical suite of courses so that you end up with professional competencies so that you can actually apply what you've learned directly to the workforce. As a result, all of our sort of learnings, activities and assessments are what you would do if you were in a health protection unit in real life. And I'll talk a little bit more about assessments later on. Just to kind of give a bit more of a indication of the types of things that you might want to do. And I've seen this is sort of on an automated thing, so I'm just going to start that again. So I guess some of the questions to ask yourself about health protection. Have you ever wondered how public health units find out about outbreaks and then how we figure out what's caused them? And you'll learn that in the outbreak management suite. How can I stop this from going ahead? Maybe that's pausing. No, it's on some automated thing. Hang on a sec. Okay, so the second question is all about communicable disease epidemiology. So do you want to learn about what the infectious pathogens are and how we use what we know about them to control, prevent, and manage them when they happen? The third sort of subject is, do you want to know what data public health units collect and how we use it to for public health action? And then finally, do you want to know about the link between the environment and health, and how to assess and manage environmental health risks? So they're the 4 topics that form our health protection suite of units. The outbreak management and and public health surveillance were newly developed units. The other 2 were already in existence when we developed the graduate certificate in health protection. As I stated, though, we did develop a suite of courses in a modular sort of study pathway. And that's because we acknowledged that people that wanted to study health protection might want to do it in different ways. So we developed short courses, units, the graduate certificate, which is our main course, but we've also nested our graduate certificate into our Masters of Public Health, and you can also take our units as part of other degrees as well. So it looks like this one's going to be automated as well, so I'll try and keep my talking to the automation. So essentially, we've got 2 short courses, one in outbreak management, one in public health surveillance. They go for 4 days. They're taught either face-to-face or online. You can come along and do them just as a training opportunity. So just do the 4-day short course and that's it. Or you can complete assessment and they will then contribute to a unit. So the outbreak management unit and the public health surveillance unit that forms part of our graduate certificate in health protection. You can then go on and complete the other 2 units and get awarded the graduate certificate. If you haven't already got a master's degree or a Masters of Public Health degree, you can actually get your graduate certificate and then get credit for those 4 units as part of our Masters of Public Health. As our graduate certificate is nested into there, you'll then go on and complete the core units of the Masters of Public Health, and you can choose then to do a capstone or research pathway. And we can actually help work with you to do a health protection focused research project under that, either by, we've got an agreement in place with the Public Health Services in Tasmania where they can provide us with projects for students to do, or we can work with you on if you've got a project from your own workplace and complete that as part of the research component of your Masters of Public Health. I also mentioned as well, our units are also available to be done as part of the Graduate Diploma of Advanced Practice and the Masters of Advanced Practice as well. So you can take these units as electives as part of those offerings as well. So it's sort of designed as a bit of a mix and match approach. You can, as I said, come and do a short course if you're just interested in one of those 2 subjects, complete the grad cert, and then move on to completing the Masters. Just give a little bit more information about those 2 short courses. So the one in outbreak management, we work through the 10 steps of an outbreak investigation. We use lots of case studies. We actually work through one entire case study and do all 10 steps of that so that you really get that hands-on approach of doing an outbreak investigation. We run these short courses every year in semester 1, either face-to-face or online. Face-to-face, we typically run 4 days in a row. Online, we do 1 day a week over 4 weeks. And as I said before, you can just come along and do the 4 days and then that's it. Or you can actually use this as the course content for the outbreak management unit, complete the assessments, and then you'll get the unit. We also run these ad hoc as workplace training sessions. So if you've got a group of people in your workplace that wants to do this outbreak management short course, we can arrange a one-on-one delivery of that to your particular workplace. Similarly, just a bit of more information about the public health surveillance short course. Again, it's a 4-day short course. We teach you how to analyse surveillance data and then how to interpret it to inform public health action. And we also look at how we evaluate surveillance systems to make sure they're working as they should be. It says there's semester 1. It's actually, we run the public health surveillance short course in semester 2. And like outbreaks, it can either be done online or face-to-face. And like the outbreak one, you can just attend it as a short course or complete the assessment and get awarded the unit. And also we can run it as a workplace training session. And in fact, I'm coming to Tasmania in a couple of weeks to teach this one to the public health services there. So they're the short courses. We then, as I said, have the graduate certificate in health protection. Apologies that these slides keep jumping ahead. And to do that, you can do it in the minimum of 1 year, 2 units per semester, or take up to 3 years if you're working full time. It does say online. We do also run the short courses face-to-face, as I've mentioned, but if you're doing the full units, they can be done online. It is part-time only, and that's because we appreciate most of you are working full-time. I also only work part-time, so it helps with my workload as well. And as I said, you do complete those 4 core units. So environmental health, communicable disease epidemiology, public health surveillance, and outbreak management, with those latter 2 able to be conducted as part of a short course. And I've just popped that quote there that we've received from some of our students. We do get a lot of feedback similar to this, that the content that we're delivering is both relevant to the workplace. So we do actually get you to do things that you would if you worked in a health protection unit. And I've had lots of comments about how interactive the delivery is. I don't like to just stand and lecture. I actually ask questions, and I like dialogue between everybody that's there so that we can learn from each other. I do have taught the units to a lot of different public health units across Australia. So it's nice to get other people's experiences shared as well, so that we're all learning from each other. Okay, in terms of how we deliver the units, so again, this is sort of looking more at the units as opposed to the short courses. We do expect you to do about 8 hours of work per week, and this is delivered in quite a few ways. So you'll have classes, and for most of the units, we run a online workshop once a fortnight. And this consists of discussion, group work, and activities. They're typically aligned to sort of the assessments that run through the semester, so that you can come, ask questions, and work together on different assessment topics. These are not mandatory, so you don't have to come. They are also recorded if you can't make it, but they do actually help students with completing work and understanding the topics. In terms of the rest of the learnings, is all done through our Milo platform, which is our online learning platform. So here, each week you'll be given activities, readings, and discussions to complete. And again, I do give you lots of activities so that you're actually doing things rather than just reading journal articles. And then in terms of the assessments, most of our assessment tasks are things that you would do in the workplace. So for example, in our surveillance unit, I give you some data and ask you to write a surveillance report using that data. Across a couple of the units, another assessment piece is to write a SITREP, or a situation report. And as I said before, there's also data analysis. So they're things that you'll do in the workplace. And I have had quite a few students say, these assessments were great because now I know, how these SITREPs are written, or I'm learning how to do things that I am doing in the workplace. So again, they are linked to what you would do in a health protection workplace.
So all of our health courses do have HECS scholarships, and these are partnerships with workplaces to discount your fees. If you'd like to have a little look at what your discount is that's available to you prior to applying, you can see on this page that we've popped a website on the second point down. If you jump onto there, there's a pricing document. You can look up your workplace and see what your discount is. It's really great to be able to understand how the discount's going to work for you and what's available. This discount will apply as soon as you've been offered a place and you've accepted. So going through how much the course costs, this is the costing for the grad certificate component, but I just want to stipulate that this cost is before the discount. So if your discount is 50 or 60%, you would take that off that dollar amount that you see in front of you as well. So it does make quite a big difference. In order to apply, you're just applying on our webpage through the apply button. It's completely free to apply with UTAS. You're popping in your basic details, and then all we require from you is your last undergraduate or postgraduate study that you've undertaken. We don't need any of your transcripts or any of your testanas. We can request all of that information once you tell us the years in which you've graduated and where you've come from. And then once you've submitted your application, there'll be a section to attach that documentation that I mentioned before for the HEC scholarship. So that's your payslip or a letter from your manager would suffice. Once you have done all of that and you've got your offer and accepted it, you can then enroll in your units and you'll have access to all of our systems as well to be able to start exploring what that looks like for you. Revisiting the commitments that students will have as part of this course. And so you mentioned that there will be a live tutorial that students can attend. Is this the only live sort of commitment that they'll have to attend? And is this recorded and they can watch it later if they can't attend? How do they fit that around their work-life balance?
Yep. Excellent question. I probably should have delved into it a bit more when I spoke about it. So for the 3 units that I teach in the graduate certificate, outbreak management, public health surveillance, and communicable disease epidemiology, I've found that students prefer to have fortnightly tutorials rather than weekly. So I run a fortnightly 2-hour tutorial. At the beginning of the semester, I actually send out a survey asking students when their preferred times are and typically run them in the evenings. So I think this semester I ran one from 6 till 8 on a Monday. They're completely non-mandatory, so you don't have to attend, but students do find them really useful. I typically go through sort of the content of the most recent modules, take any questions, and then we do some group work or activities linked to the assessments. They are recorded and I do post the recordings up once they're finished. So again, if you can't make the time slot, you can watch the recording and then ask me any questions via email if you have any. And I have had feedback that they are quite useful, particularly the recordings. And I've had students also that only ever watch the recordings. I never actually speak to them face to face, and they still find it quite manageable to do it that way.
And can you talk to us a little bit about what online study is like? How should students manage their content? And we obviously use an online platform called Milo. What does that look like for a student?
So the way that I've organised my units is that there is one module per week per semester. And I guess ideally you work through one module every week, but I actually release them in batches because I do appreciate that when people are working full time, particularly in response work, they might have lots of time one week and then no time for 3 weeks for their study. So they're actually, although they're designed to be weekly modules, I sort of batch release them in 4-week blocks. So if you need to, you can work through all 4 in 1 week and then not do any for 3 weeks. So it is quite flexible, and it's really clearly indicated what components are accessible and what are there to sort of help you with the assessments, but they're not accessible. So you can really decide how and when you do your study and sort of self-direct yourself through those. Because I also come from a response background and understand that often timelines can move in the workplace, I'm quite flexible with extensions for due dates for assessments, because I do appreciate that some weeks something might happen and you can't get to that assessment. So I am also quite flexible, and if you need extra time to get those assessments done, just as long as you let me know, we can work around any sort of work issues that or life issues that you might have.
When you were describing the masters, you described the research pathway, but you also described the capstone unit. Can you just explain to students what a capstone unit is and what they could expect from something like that?
Okay, so the research component is that you do certain research focused subjects and you finish off with a research project. The capstone pathway, in my understanding, is that it's not research focused, but you do a project as part of it, but it's a much smaller project that might be something that's less research and more kind of workforce appropriate. So for example, I was talking to a student that as part of her capstone project, she looked at a surveillance system and just evaluated whether or not it was working properly. So not in a sort of a standard research project, but a useful workforce activity that then contributed back to her capstone project.
And just touching back on assessments for students, What can students expect from your classes? You mentioned that there may be reports, but are students expected to do sit-down exams, or are they all online based? Are they assessments that are written? What sort of things can students expect?
So definitely not exams. So there is no exam. They're all assignments. And the way that the units are structured, so I have assessment one is actually made up of 5 mini assessments that are due throughout the semester, linked to a particular module topic. And they might be something like find me a journal article on an operational research project that uses surveillance data and write a summary on it. Or it might be, here's a small bit of data. Let's just practice analyzing it, develop 2 figures and write a summary about it. So they're quite sort of small assessments that lead up to the larger ones. So assessment 2 and 3 are then sort of bigger assignment pieces. And as I sort of described, one of them that I do is I give you some data and ask you to write a weekly surveillance report from it. So again, something that's done quite routinely in a public health unit. Another assessment that I do for my outbreak units, it's all scenario based. So I basically present you with an outbreak and get you to respond to different steps along the outbreak pathway and get you to do things that you would do in an outbreak investigation, like come up with case definitions, come up with who you want in your outbreak investigation team, calculate the appropriate calculations that you need to work out what food's causing the outbreak. So it's all very applicable to how you would do it if you were doing it in real life.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate your time today.